Padmanabha Swami Temple, Thiruvananthapuram. Padmanabha Swami Temple is a Hindu temple located in Thiruvananthapuram, TVM, the state capital of Kerala, India. The name of the city of Thiruvananthapuram in Malayalam translates to the city of Lord Ananta, referring to the dignity of the Padmanabha Swami Temple. The temple is built in an intricate fusion of Chira style, the Dravidian style of architecture, featuring high walls and 16th century gopura, while the Anantapura temple in Kumbala is considered the original seat of the deity. Architecturally, to some extent, the temple is a replica of Adikesava Perumal temple in Thiruvattur. Padmanabha Swami Temple. Hinduism. Mahavishnu. Governing body Travancore Raval family. Location Thiruvananthapuram, State Kerala, Country India. Type fusion of Kerala architecture and Tamil architecture. The principal deity Padmanabha Swami Vishnu is enshrined in the Ananta Sahayana posture. The external yogic sleep on the serpent Adishesha. Padmanabha Swami is the tutelary deity of royal family of Travancore. The Tiruttur Maharaja Travancore Mulam Thirunal Ramavarma is the trustee of the temple. Several extant Hindu texts like the Vishnu Purna, Brahma Purna, Varaha Purna, Sankha Purna, Padma Purna, Vayu Purna, and the Mahabharata mention this shrine. The temple has been referred to the only recorded Sangam period of Elisha between 500 BC and 300 CE several times. Many conventional historians and scholars are of the opinion that one of the names that the temple had, the Golden Temple, literally was in the fact that the temple was already unimaginably wealthy by the point. Many extant pieces of Sangam Tamil literature and the poetry and later works of the 19th century of the Tamil poet saints like Nammalvar refer to the temple and the city as having walls of the pure gold. At some places, both the temple and the entire city are often listed as being made of gold and the temple as heaven. The temple is one of the 108 principal Divya Desams, holy abodes in Vaishnavism, and glorify the Divya Prabandha, the Divya Prabandha glories. This shrine has been among the 13 Divya Desham in Malay Nadu, corresponding to the present-day Kerala with the Kanyakumari district. The 8th century Tamil poet Ever Nammalvar sang the glories of Padmanabha. The Ananthapuram temple in Kasaragod is believed to be the original seat of Padmanabha Swami Mulasthanam. It is believed that the Parasurama purified and venerated the idol of Sri Padmanabha Swami in Devapara Yuga. Parasurama ensured the administration of the temple with the 7 Potti families: Kupakara Potti, Vanshiyar Adhyara Potti, Kolur Adhyara Potti, Muttavila Potti, Karva Potti, Netrasi Potti, C. Karyata Potti. King Aditya Vikrama of Vanchi was directed by Parasurama to the Paripalanam protection of the temple. Parasurama gave the tantrum of temple to Tharannul Namboothiripat. This legend is narrated in detail in Kerala Mahatmyam, which forms a part of Brahmanantapurnam. Another version regarding the constitutions of the main idol of the temple relates to the legendary Sega Villava Mangalattu Swamiyar, who reside near Anantapuram temple in Kasaragod district, prior to the Lord Vishnu for the darshan. The Lord is believed to have come to case of a little boy who was mischievous. The boy defied the ideal which was kept for puja. Sakha became enraged at this and chased away the boy, disappeared before him. Realizing the boy was no ordinary mortal, the Sakha wept for forgiveness and asked for another darshan as a sign. He heard a voice say, "If you want to see me, come to Anantavanna, the unchanging forest of Antakada." After a long search, when he was walking on the bank of Lakadiv Sea, he heard a Pulaya lady warning her child that she could throw him in Anandakad. The moment the Swami heard the word Anandakad, he was delighted. He proceeded to Anandakad based on the direction of the lady of whom he inquired. The Sega reached Anandakad searching for the boy. There he saw the boy merging into an Ilupa tree, Indian butter tree. The tree fell down and became Anantasena Murthy, Vishnu reclining on the celestial snake Ananta. But the Hades that the Lord assumed was on extraordinarily large size, with his head at Tiruvallur near Thukali, Tamil Nadu, body or Utal at the Thiruvananthapuram, the lotus feet at the Tripattapuram near Kulathur, and Techno Park, Tiruvapayur, making his some 8 miles in length. The stage Sega requested the Lord to shrink to a smaller proportion that would be thrice the length of his staff. Immediately the Lord shrank to form of the ideal that is seen the present in the temple. But even then many Lupa trees obstructed a complete vision of Lord. The Sega saw the Lord in 3 parts: Tirumukkam, Tiruvadal and Tripadam. Swami prayed to Padmanabha to be forgiven. The Swami offered rice, kanji and upmanga, salted mango pieces in a coconut shell to Perumal, which he obtained for the Pulaya woman. The spot where the Sega had darshan of the Lord belonged to Kuppakarna Potti and Karuva Potti. With assistance of regaining king and some Brahmin households, a temple was constructed. The Anandakad Nagaraja temple still exists to the northwest of Padmanabha Swami temple. The Samadhi, final resting place of Swamiyar, exists to west of Padmanabha Swami temple. The Krishna temple was built over the Samadhi. This temple, known as Vilayamangalam Sri Krishna Swami temple, belongs to the Thrissur Naduvail Mukhalin, a Muslim Maravatur, invaded vast chunks of Venad in 16 AD. He destroyed Vantapuram Bhagadesh Perumal temple owned by Nithya Potti. Mukhalin had plans to plunder the walls of Sri Padmanabha Swami temple and destroyed it, but he was dissuaded from doing so by local peasants loyal to royals of Venad. Padmanabhan Thambi, arch-rival of the Anusham Tirunal Marthandavarma, marched to the Thiruvananthapuram with his forces and tried to loot the walls of the temple. Thambi stayed at Sri Varaham and sent his mercenaries to Sri Padmanabha Swami temple. It is said that the divine serpents materialized in hundreds and scared away Thambi's men. Empowered by the heavenly intervention, Palichal Pillai and local people opposed the Padmanabhan Thambi and ensured that the mercenaries did not proceed with the misadventure. This is the history of Padmanabha Swami temple. And next is about Travancore royal family. In the first half of the 18th century, in line with manorial customs, Aniram Tirunal Marthandavarma succeeded his uncle Ramavarma as king at the age of 23. He successfully suppressed the 700-year-old stranglehold and Ittuvitil Pilmar, lords of the 8 houses, and his cousins, following the discovery of conspiracies which was lords were involved in against the royal house of Travancore. There were various legends and disputes about those mostly stories, but overall the two control and centralize the rule. The last major renovation of the Padmanabha Swami temple committed immediately after Aniham Tirunal accession to the masjid and the ideal of resonated in 1906 ME 1731 CE. On 17 January 1750, Aniram Tirunal surrendered the kingdom of Travancore to Padmanabha Swami, the deity at the temple, and pledged that he and his descendants would be vassals of agents of the deity who would serve the kingdom as Padmanabha Desha. Since then, the name of every Travancore king was preceded by the title Sri Padmanabha Desha. The female members of the royal family were called Sri Padmanabha Sevins. The donation of the king to the Padmanabha Swami was known as Tripadi Dhanam. The final wishes of the Aniram Tirunal on his passing at the age of 53 clearly delineated the historical relationship between Maharaja and the temple, that no deviation whatsoever should be made in the regard to the dedication of kingdom to the Padmanabha Swami, and that all future territorial acquisitions should be made over the Devism. The temple structure, main shrine. In the Garbhagriha, Padmanabha reclines on the serpent Ananta or Adishesha. The serpent has 5 hoods facing inward, significantly Compatibilism. The Lord's right hand is placed over the Shiva Lingam, Sri Devi Lakshmi, and the goddess of prosperity, and Bhudevi, the goddess of earth. 2 constants of Vishnu are by his side. Brahma emerged on the lotus, which emanates from the navel of the Lord. The divinity is made from 12,008 centigrams. These centigrams were from the banks of Gangadi river in Nepal, and to the commensurate with the certain rituals used to perform at the Pashupanta temple. The deity of Padmanabha is covered with Katu Sarkar Yogam, a special Ayurvedic mist which forms a plaster that keeps the deity clean, and the daily worship is with flowers. For the Abhishekams, special deities are used. The platforms in front of the Vimanam and where the deity rests are both carved out of the single massive stone and hence called Attakal Mantabam. On the orders of Marthandavarma 17658, Attakal Mandapam was cut out of the rock in Tirumala, about 4 miles 6.4 km north of the temple. If measured to 20 square feet 1.9 m, placed in front of the deity of month of Idavam 906 ME 1731 C. At the same time, Marthandavarma also brought 12,000 centigrams anionic representations of Vishnu from the Gandik river north of Benares, known as Varanasi of the temple. These were used to recreationize of the Padmanabha. In order to perform darshan and puja, one has to ascend the mandapam. The deity is visible through 3 doors. The Vaisakha of reclining Lord and Sivalinga underneath the hand is seen through the first door, Sri Devi, and the Bhrigu Muni in Katusarka Brahma seated on a lotus matting form of Lord's navel, hence the name. Padmanabha, gold Amishega Murtis of Lord Padmanabha, Sri Devi and Bhudevi, and silver Usava Murti of Padmanabha through the second door. The Lord's feet and Bhudevi and Markandeya Muni in Katu Sarga through third door. The ideals of 2 goddesses holding Chamran, Garuda, Narada, Tumburu, and the divine forms of 6 weapons of Lord Vishnu, Surya, Chandra, Sapna, 7 Segs, Madhu, and Kaintava are also there in Sanctum. Only the king of Travancore may perform Sankata Namaskaram of prostrative on the Attakal Mandapam. It is traditionally held that anybody who prostrates on the mandapa has surrendered all his poses to divinity. Since the ruler has already done that, he is permitted to prostrate of his mandapam. Other shrines. Inside the temple there are 2 other important shrines. Thekkadam and Thiruvampadi for the deities Ugra Narasimha and Krishna Swami respectively. Centuries back, several families of Rishi traveled to the south carrying with the ideals of the Balrama and the Lord Krishna. When they reached the hallowed land of Sri Padmanabha, they gave the ideal of Balrama, also known as Bhaktadasa. Nestri Poti built a temple at Buddhapuram in the present-day Kanyakumari district and had his ideal installed there. The Russians gifted the ideal of Krishna to Maharaja Udaya Marthandavarma of Venad. The Maharaja constructed a separate shrine known as Thiruvampadi. The premises of Padmanabha temple for the ideal, the Thiruvampadi shrines enjoy an independent status. Thiruvampadi has its own Namaskara Mandapam, belly stones and flag mass. The Lord of Thiruvampadi is Parthasarathi, the divine chariot of Arjuna, the two-armed Ganate ideal with one hand holding the whip and the other resting of left thigh holding the conch closet. It is standing posture on Ekadasi days. The Lord is dressed and decorated as Mohini. The Vishwans and came to Vena art and settled there are known as Krishnan Vakar as they belong to the lineage of Lord Krishna. There are also shrines of Rama accompanied by Sita, Lakshmana and Hanuman, the Nirmalyatira of Vishnu and overall obstacles, Vaishya, Ganapati, Sasta and others who guards the temple. Grand ideals of Garuda and Hanuman stand the folded hands in Valia pellicle area. The Trivans ideals of Chitra Tirunal Balrama Varma and Uttradam Tirunal Marthanda Varma are housed in the south-east part of the temple. Gopuram. The foundation of the present Gopuram was laid in 1566. The temple has a 100-foot 30-meter 7-high Gopuram made in Pandyan style. The temple stands by the side of tank named Padma Tirtham, meaning the lotus spring. The temple has a corridor with 365 and one corridor with stone pillars with elaborate graves, which stands out of the ultimate testimonial for the Vishwakarma is resulting in the architectural masterpiece. The corridor extends from the eastern side into the sanctum. An 80-foot 24-meter flagstone stands in front of the main entry from the Parkharam close presence of the temple. The ground floor under the Gopuram main entrance in the eastern side is known as Nadakasala, where the famous temple art Kathakali was staged in the night during the 10-day Utsavam festival conducted twice a year during the Malayalam months of Meenam and Thulam. Here are some details and mainly the history of Padmanabha Swami temple situated in Thiruvananthapuram.